Hi, folks. I want to talk a bit about God right now. And I want to try and give a definition of God, which is a difficult thing to do, which is a potentially dangerous thing to do, maybe a foolish thing to do, to try to do such a grand thing. Um, but I think it's also dangerous to have an unexamined definition of God, to use a word like God and have a bad definition, and not really know, whether you're meaning the same thing that other people mean when they say it. So I can at least say what I mean when I say God, although I think this definition is useful as well. So it's a very simple definition in a way. It's simple in the sense that it doesn't use big words and it's easy to remember. And it's that God is everything, and God is someone. So I want to talk about each of those things. God is everything. So the totality of existence, when you open your eyes in the morning, what you encounter, the totality of what you encounter, life, all of existence, all of the universe, but more importantly, the universe that you encounter through existence, is God. And so anything that opens us to a deeper engagement with life itself is an engagement with God itself. And that's why so much actual good religious practice gets us into that experience. So we often kind of think in terms of religion and even spirituality as something to do with the mind, something to do with what we're thinking about. But actually, a lot of it is about our bodies. And so good religious practice opens us to deeper experiences of the totality of experience with our bodies. So, like, plunging yourself into cold water is an experience that opens you to your body. Drinking wine is a physical experience that engages your body, your senses. Singing, right? That's chanting, very common religious practice, is something that opens up your lungs, your very self, your body, and is a profound religious practice. Mindfulness at its best, stillness meditation, is a practice that should move us from our bodies, if we can manage it, though it's not always easy, into an experience of actually what we're experiencing with our bodies in the present tense, right? So God is the totality of existence. God is not like a fragment of existence, a part of existence, right? God is not in a particular place and not in another particular place, not existing in some other realm, not in a particular temple, in a particular holy place, in a particular holy object. God might be present in all of these things, but not only these things. These are just human things that we have to open us to that experience of deeper, more deeply experiencing what is the totality of life, of existence, which is God. Now, I think we can't leave it at that, because I think we lose too much if we leave that as a definition of God. So I also want to say God is someone. Someone. God is, in other words, a someone, a personal thing, although the word thing is difficult because I'm saying God is everything, right? I mean, I'm a progressive, I'm a liberal, and so progressive and liberals often want to talk about God in impersonal terms, as power, as spirit, as energy, as all of these kind of things, and that's fine as far as it goes, and those things they're not wrong, but I think the deeper experience of a lot of beings, and the deeper kind of witness that so many religious traditions witness to is God of someone. The discovery of contemplative prayer is that as we seek to be connected with everything, as we seek to open ourselves to experience that deeper connection, we also experience a someone who is seeking to be connected to us, more than seeking to be connected to us. The discovery is a someone who is in love with us, right? The experience is that the discovery is there is someone who is in love with me, and there is someone who is wildly, passionately, head over heels in love with you. Now, I know that sounds weird, right? I think it does sound weird to say that the totality of existence, say that everything that exists is actually a someone who is in love with you. Sort of doesn't make sense, right? I admit that doesn't make sense, totally, right? I completely know how it sounds, right? And yet I think that is the discovery of contemplative prayer, that there is someone who loves. And the trouble is, if you haven't got a someone, if you just talk about in personal terms, then you can sort of vaguely talk about love and vaguely talk about positivity. But what does it mean to talk about love unless there's a lover? Love is an expression of something that happens between someones. And a kind of a religion of love, a faith of love, a spirituality of love has to be about an encounter with someone. Now, if we only said someone, then the danger, of course, is that that's a very limited understanding of who that someone is, because we can start, of course, in our patriarchal culture, we can talk about that someone as a he, which we generally do in most religions, and we can start imagining a he, an embodied being who sits in a particular place with particular masculine characteristics, and every time we do that imagining, it limits us. It limits our ideas down, because we're imagining through the limits of our own imagination, which is defined by our own particularity, and of course those with the most power, with white cisgender men who have the most power in society, project their imaginative image, and that becomes more dominant over other people's imaginative images, and so the divine reflects ourselves and our power structures and our dysfunction as much as anything. So there are all kinds of dangers when we start talking about who that someone is, right? That's why we balance it by also talking about God as everything. Because if God is everything, then God cannot be a limited personal being that's just a kind of a personality that's like us. But if God is someone and everything, then I think those two things balance out. And I think that's the discovery, and that's the invitation to discovery that we have in prayer, in contemplative prayer practices, is to enter more deeply into the encounter in every moment of our lives, in sunlight, in food, in sex, in the taste of coffee, in the laughter of children, to enter into a deeper experience that connects us more deeply with everything and every moment of our lives. And also that is not something that's only dependent upon us, but actually that the totality of our lives, that God reaches out to us actively and seeks to be in that powerful and personal relationship. God is everything, and God is someone.